As always, Godswill Akpabio is in a web of corruption again. This time, Godswill Akpabio led 10th National Assembly has been exposed in a massive corruption game as it regards the 2025 budget. Okay, so the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, the Speaker of the House of Reps, Tajuddin Abbas, Right Honorable actually, and other members of the National Assembly has now been exposed in a massive corruption game that they try to play with the 2025 budget. There are two basic accusations. One of them is commission, the other is deliberate omission, and both of them, they have broken the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and they must be investigated, and if possible, this should bring sanctions. So Budget, a civic tech organization that promotes transparency and accountability in Nigerian public finance space, is reporting that upon going through the 2025 budget that the National Assembly has passed and submitted to the President for his assent, now has some grave corruption outlook that is not good for the image of this country and for the fiscal policy of Nigeria. So the first is a fiscal legitimacy allegation that the National Assembly, as it were, padded the budget, and then they were able to put in over 11,000 projects with over 6.9 trillion naira into the budget without fiscal legitimacy. That is, they inserted projects into that budget that were not in the original budget that the presidency submitted, increased the budget cost, and went on to send it to the president without revealing specific details of the budget. That's one. I'm going to give you details. The second is that they broke the laws of the land of this country by going to assent or pass the budget into law without ensuring that the budget meets the requirement of the law. And let's make it very clear. So what does the law say? The law said, according to the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, total spending must not exceed revenue plus 3% of GDP. With our GDP projected at 338 trillion naira, the legal maximum our budget can ever be should be 51.95 trillion. Yet, the National Assembly passed the 2025 budget and it exceeded over 3 trillion. That's a constitutional crisis. And without the review of the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007, passing that particular budget is anti-law, not no to law. And by that, it is breaking of our laws. And you know what that means, of course. I know this doesn't mean anything to a lot of you, but we'll take it down. But the biggest news of this is the over 6.9 trillion naira that was padded into the budget unscrupulously by the National Assembly. I'll take it bit by bit. And this is Budget Nigeria. Like I said, is a civic tech organization that promotes transparency and accountability in the Nigerian public finance space. It's saying that our analysis revealed that 238 projects valued above 5 billion naira each, with a cumulative value of 2.29 trillion, were inserted with little or no justification. 984 projects worth 1.71 trillion and 1,119 projects within the range of 500 million to 1 billion naira, totaling 641.38 billion, were indiscriminately inserted. We are moving. It also says that a closer look shows that 3,573 projects worth 653.19 billion are assigned directly to federal constituency, and 1,972 projects worth 444.04 billion to senatorial projects. Some of the glaring abnormalities include 1,474 streetlights worth 393.29 billion naira. Listen, only 1,474 streetlights projects worth almost 400 billion naira. 538 boreholes only totaled over 114.53 billion. Listen, only 538 boreholes totaled 114.53 billion naira. 2,122 ICT projects valued at 505.79 billion naira, while 6.74 billion naira was earmarked for empowerment of traditional rulers. Shockingly, 39% of all insertions, that is 4,371 projects worth 1.72 trillion naira, were forced into the Ministry of Agriculture's budget, inflating its capital allocation from 242.5 billion to 1.95 trillion naira. The Ministry of Science and Technology and the budget, of course, budget and planning, Ministry of Budget and Planning, also saw a bloated allocations of 994.98 billion and 1.1 trillion respectively from its actions alone. Even more concerning is the targeted misuse of agencies like the Nigeria Building and Road Research Institute, Lagos, and the Federal Cooperative College, Oji River, as dumping grounds for politically motivated projects. These agencies lack the technical capacity to execute such projects, leading to rampant underperformance and waste. So, these two particular institutes, the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute and, of course, the Federal Cooperative College, were also being said to have been put down as executors of some projects. For example, the Federal Cooperative College Oji River Training Institute was saddled with 3 billion for utility vehicles to support farmers and distribution agents, 1.5 billion for rural electrification in Rivers State, and 1 billion for solar street lights in Enugu State. These are examples of agencies operating outside their mandate, managing projects unrelated to their statutory function, and adding zero value to national development. We call on President Nademi and you forget problem. This call on President, I'll jump that. We urge you to the general no now, you know even what. We hope that the anti-corruption agencies official no need. So we have seen it, that budget part. Remember in 2019, Muhammadu Buhari, former president of Nigeria, said that over 1 trillion naira has been used for constituency projects in Nigeria for a span of about 10 years that wasn't seen anywhere, wasn't traceable, wasn't evaluatable, wasn't monitorable, wasn't seenable, wasn't usable, wasn't deployable, and wasn't maximizable. Yet, this government now has taken it a step further. For just 1 year, over almost 7 billion naira, 6.93 trillion, almost 7 trillion naira, has been earmarked for constituency projects that were smuggled into the budget without the appropriate measures, without the appropriate allocations, without the fiscal template, without the proper structures, and allocating to ministries, to institutes that are not primarily saddled with that responsibility. And this is what they want to do. So when you saw, of course, don't forget that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu initially submitted a budget of about 47 trillion to the National Assembly. The National Assembly, right, they now said that they had error, and then they returned the budget and now took the budget to 54.2 trillion. But the National Assembly returned that budget to the president after it has been increased to 54.9 or 7 or 9 trillion. So this last part of the budget, the over 6 trillion were added, were of the National Assembly for constituency projects that nobody can trace and monitor. How many of these constitutional project or constituency project can you see in your area, in your community? What has the National Assembly been doing with constituency project? And even if there are, how do you use over 200 million for one borehole? How do you use over 500 million for one street light? How? And then we think that we have a country in this manner. Nigerians do not bother about stories like this. It is schools that bothers us. Again, the more reason why we must have reforms. Now, beyond the electoral reforms, there's also judicial reforms, because these are very, very same ground for abuse of office and administrative recklessness. ICPC and EFCC should be very forthright in pushing for our lawmakers to be probed for this act. But they will turn a blind eye and continue to look for Yahoo boys everywhere that are committing crimes that they should bother about. Shame on all institutions of Nigeria. Shame on Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Shame on Godswill Akpabio. Shame on Tajuddin Abbas. Shame on the National Assembly. Shame.